Riding our bike on a fietspath or a bike path. We actually have to put, here in America, we have to put our bike in the car, drive somewhere to go ride the bike. Got the bike packed in the back of the van. All right, we have to drive probably about maybe 8 or 10 miles to where we got to go to ride the bike. And this is what we call an American bike lane right here, or on this side. On the road, we have maybe half a meter or a third of a meter right there. That's our bike lane. Or a fietspath. We're coming up to something rather interesting. The first roundabouts here in where I live. It's one of our first roundabouts. A very rare thing in the United States, but we're starting to get them. Very common thing in the Netherlands, but that's our first one over here. And here we're crossing the river. The rivier. Up there they're building new houses, building new roads. To the right of me, we're going to see where they have cleared all the boss or the forest, and they're building many houses. You can see to the right are the new houses being built, and over here is where they've cleared the forest to build more houses. Now we are arriving in the neighborhood where I parked the car, and I could connect to the fietspath or the bike path or the greenway. Here we call it the greenway. Today has been trash day, so you see all the klikko's. You see all the groen klikko's. Everybody has taken the trash out, the binnes. Okay, we've arrived at our destination. There's the fietspath, or the greenway, or the bike path that we're going to be taking. It's about 13 miles one way to the Freedom Park where the fountain is. The greenway continues on further than that and goes about another 10 miles. So in total, one direction, it can be up to 23 miles. For today, it's going to be 13 miles there and 13 miles back. I'm going to be speaking in Dutch a little bit here throughout the video because I'm creating this video for my vriendin, or my friend, Dutch Bicycle Rides on YouTube. Hopefully he will enjoy this. I think he will. I'm going to share a little bit of history along the way. We're going to make a stop at one of our president's homes that he grew up in. That's James Polk. He was our president between 1845 and 1849. His childhood home is here in the local area, so I'll be sharing that with you as well. Hoe hou het met jou? Alles is goed with jou? Deze dag is warm. Is kleine koud, but it is warm. Today is a sunny day, but it's still kind of cold. In the sun it's warm, but in the shade it's kind of cold and windy. But we're going to be taking our adventure here in a minute, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Fijne dag voor jou. Deze is mijn electric fiets. This is my electric bike. It's the Avaton Level 2. And there's a little salute to my friend in the Netherlands. I'm going to be carrying the Dutch flag today. All right, off we go. Very steep downhill. This is the only part that has a very steep downhill. We're not actually on the greenway yet, but just a connecting path that takes us to the greenway. Once we go over the bridge, that'll be the greenway. Now we're on the greenway. The name of this river, or they call it a creek, but it swells up to a river size. Yeah, it's called Sugar Creek. This is all new, brand new. This is 6 months old. I want to give a big salute to Dutch Bicycle Rides video YouTube channel. He makes excellent videos of his local area in Utrecht, Eindhoven, near south of Amsterdam. It's between Eindhoven and Rotterdam. It's a beautiful area, and if you're into cycling, you all know that Utrecht is one of the biggest cycling cities in Europe. A little bit different where I'm at here, but still pretty all the same. Here we have the black asphalt, not the red asphalt like they do in the Netherlands, which is quite unique. I enjoy that a lot, seeing the red asphalt. We have a little bit of a vista point with benches and a nice place to look and sit down, eat your lunch. And this is for, I don't know his name yet, but Dutch Bicycle Rides. This is the setup that I use. Basically a chest harness with a nice little clamp on it. I can easily take it on and off and show you where I point it to the direction that I want you to see. I'm recording on the GoPro 12, Hero 12, and the backup camera on the handlebars is the Hero 8. I'm actually have the GoPro Hero 10 arriving today, replacing this one. They have spent a lot of money building this bike path. What we're on right now is pretty new. It's about 6 months old. They just finished completing it. They connected it with several other pieces of a greenway all the way into Charlotte and through downtown Charlotte all the way to the north end of Charlotte. The north end is still having to be completed and connected all the way through. You can still get in between the pieces of the roadway that they're putting together, but you have to go on city streets. There's no actual bike path yet. You have to go through some residential roads and some busy roads to get to the other side. But as far as where we're going today, you're going to see the completed bike path that's uninterrupted. This is quite unique to have something like this. In the United States, we don't have too many of these things. They're starting to get them or having them built. We're starting to see a lot of greenways or pathways that are old railroad passages, and they're converting them back into hiking, walking, bike paths. For you non-Dutch speakers, we call a bike path a fietspath, meaning bicycle path. I absolutely adored living in the Netherlands. If you ever get a chance to visit the Netherlands, I highly recommend it. If you get to ride a bike there, even better. I would really recommend taking several days and renting a bike and maybe going for a tour in the spring or summertime and camping in some of their campgrounds that are very nice. They have beautiful campgrounds. You may have to book ahead because the Dutch like to take vacation all at the same time. So sometimes they may be crowded. So I would suggest booking in advance, but well worth it. Beautiful showers, well-kept areas, and very close to bike paths. And you can explore the Netherlands or Holland on a bike, and that is something that you really have to experience to appreciate. This bike path, we see lots of people walking, riding electric scooters, a lot of people riding road bikes. Occasionally we'll get lucky, we'll get to see a bakfiets. A bakfiets is those bicycles that look like they have a wheelbarrow in the front and the kids ride in the front. They're starting to migrate over here and people are starting to get them, especially after COVID. Right now we're going underneath an underpass of a freeway or an expressway. There's people walking here. And we're going to be making a right turn over here to make a slight detour to one of our presidents from 1845 to 1849, James Polk. This is his childhood home. There's a museum here. And if you look through the trees there, you might be able to see it peeking out there. There it is. It's a log cabin. To the right is the museum, and there's the barn in the back and the actual home of one of our presidents. James Polk was famous for acquiring a lot of land for the United States. This house would have been built roughly probably in the 1830s or 1820s, something of that nature. They used mud for filler in between the log and the structure of the house. You can still see the cornerstones are made out of actual stones. And the barn in the back. Little piece of history. All right, we're gonna move on. Sorry for the bumpy road or bumpy ride. Oh heck, this goat. It's cold today, guys. I thought it was warm in the sun, but in the shade it's pretty cold. It is 19 Celsius. It's about 9 or 10 Celsius. In Fahrenheit, that's about 51, 52 degrees. In the sun, it's kind of nice, but in the shade, it gets pretty cold. And now we're connecting back onto where we left off the greenway. Nice little spot to sit by the creek. I think about halfway I'm gonna have to make a stop and put my other jacket underneath this one because it's cold. Hola, ¿cómo estás? And yes, I speak Spanish too. My Spanish is a little bit better than my Dutch. So bicycle Dutch ride. Forgive me for my so-so Dutch. Knee is good. We have a pretty diverse city here. There's a lot of Ukrainians, a lot of Russians, a lot of people from Venezuela. We have people from Chile, Peru, a lot of Latin American countries, and Eastern European people in this area. Good melting pot. I speak some Russian. Говорите по-русски, да. It's хорошая погода, which means it's nice weather today. It's cold, but nice sunny day. And we continue on. Up ahead, straight ahead is an expressway. We're going to be going underneath the underpass. In the Netherlands, they mostly had tunnels that went underneath the road. Not so much underpasses like this. They had some, but mostly I noticed there was always tunnels, which was more fun. In Eindhoven, we had the Silly Walk. That was from the comedian, the English comedian, I forget his name off the top of my, John Cleese. He came all the way out to Eindhoven and for the unveiling of his silly walk on the mural on the tunnel. Maybe I'll stick a piece of that in here in the video. And to the left of me is a very nice vista point. They call this the Marsh Park Observation Deck. And in the summertime, the water is clear. You can see tons and tons of turtles. Big, huge snapping turtles. Now this is not a canal, this is a marshland. I might even get lucky and see a turtle in here. How you doing, sir? I can see to the bottom, but I'm not seeing any turtles. It's still too cold, I think. They're still hibernating. But in the summertime, you can see them here. All right, we're going to continue on. Here's an interesting piece of artwork that was donated. It's a wood carving. Looks like a honeycomb. We'll go ahead and go around it if you can see it. The gentleman watching the birds and photographing all the birds that come here and stop on their way north and south. It's a natural habitat. And in this particular bridge and this pathway here, we might be lucky and see a lot of ducks and geese, Canadian geese. Nothing today. It's hit or miss, but a lot of times you come through here and there's a lot of geese, a lot of ducks sitting in the water. Today happened to be not one of those days. That's the first. I've never seen one on here. A tricycle. Those are very common in the Netherlands, not so much here. Het is een super mooie dag. Zo mooi. It's a beautiful day. I like it when it's cold like this and the sun's out. Forgive the camera movements are a little shaky. In the cold, my fingers hurt. Earlier, I might have stuck the safety line that I have connected to the camera to my chest rig, get in the way of the lens. I might have even got my fingers in the lens once or twice, so I apologize for that. They did a very, very nice job here with the bridges. Very nice bridges of the Brogue. Not as big and as fancy as the ones in the Netherlands, but it's still nice. I was very lucky to be on the news in the Netherlands crossing over the bridge in the nightly news segment announcing the opening of the brand new bridge in Eindhoven over the freeway, over the A2. I still have that clip. Now we're going underneath the freeway, so this is a much wider underpass. To the left of me, that's another entrance to a big shopping center over there on the left. I truly miss riding my bike in the Netherlands. That was just such a joy. To be able to walk out your front door, jump on a bike path or bike lane and just go anywhere you wanted. And you were separated from cars on your own path, especially between villages. You know, nice and quiet. It's not so much, I mean, it was much safer. That was a great plus and a bonus, but just being separated from the cars and the noise and riding a bike path all over the place, that was extra special. I got a ride almost every day or every couple of days. I would go past Vincent van Gogh, as we say, and Vincent van Gogh, his home that he lived in and painted from. The museum was there and everything. I used to ride the bike right past the watermolen, or the water mill, and get to see that. I used to think how lucky I was to have seen that, been around that, lived by there and enjoy it. There's nothing like riding a bike in the daytime and just connecting you to your surroundings. You get to hear things, see things that you don't get to see and hear in a car. When you're riding in a car, it's a totally different thing. You're in a metal box with windows. It feels like you're in a bubble. And I think you miss out on a lot. Riding the bike is like a certain speed, the perfect speed to see things or experience things that you wouldn't in the car. I remember one time riding the bike to a campground, and all of us saw a konijntje, a rabbit, fighting with a hawk. That was amazing. The rabbit was fighting with a hawk in the field and standing up to the hawk, and the hawk was trying to get him, and the rabbit wasn't having it. And they had a Mexican standoff, so to speak, for about 10-15 minutes. That was amazing. Driving in a car, you would never have seen that. So there's many great benefits to riding the bike. And of course, we get a healthy benefit out of it. That's why the Dutch are so healthy, happy. Maybe it contributed to them being so tall too. They're the tallest people in the world. I don't know if most people know that, but the Dutch are the tallest people in the world. But here we say hello, but over there we kind of say oi or hello. I have to be honest, the Dutch language, it was a very difficult language to learn. I had a American scout tell me, his parents tell me, who were from Austria. One was from Austria, one was from Germany. And they kind of made a joke when I was going to the Netherlands. They said that the Dutch is Western Europe's throat disease. I thought that was kind of mean, but it is difficult. It's probably one of the harder languages I learned. But now I miss it so much. Here we have another bridge. Today is a weekday, in the middle of the day or in the afternoon, so a lot of people, and it's cold, so there's not a lot of people out on the bike path. On a Saturday, on a nice day like today, whether even if it was cool or semi-warm, it'd be packed full of people riding, jogging, walking with their kids or their dogs. After about 4 or 5 o'clock, you start seeing a lot more people on the bike lanes. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know if you can see that, but behind the trees and across the creek are some homes or apartments. There we go. You can see probably a little bit better there. To the right is an entrance to the greenway. Another bridge. We had some heavy storms about a week or 2 weeks ago. All this was underwater and full of mud. And further up ahead, you'll be able to see where the water or the river washed out some guardrails and also broke up the path. It actually tore concrete apart. It's amazing how strong water is. In the evening time, a little bit further up from here, you see deer right around 5:30 at night, just as before it's getting dark. The deer start waking up and running around, and you can see a lot of deer. Another nice vista point. I've passed several of these and I haven't shown what's on the information sheet here, or the placard. It is unfortunate that people don't respect things here, and you can see where people have written or scratched the placard. Apparently there's large bass in the river. We also have red breast sunfish. That's another type of fish that we have here. We also have a lot of road bike trainers. this time of year when it's cold, those are the hardcore people that stay riding. Americans, they're made of sugar, as the Dutch say, and they don't like to ride their bike unless it's nice and sunny and warm. For the most part, except for the hardcore guys that are road racing or training. I invited my neighbor to come with me today, and he says it's too cold. It has to be above 15 Celsius, otherwise he won't go. And my neighbor actually has a Gazelle bike. He had it imported, and he paid a pretty penny for it. Almost $5,000 for a Gazelle electric bike with a Bosch motor. He enjoys it a lot, though. And now we're starting to see families.
Feels brand new.
Over here I get questioned a lot why I don't wear a helmet. Americans believe they have to wear a helmet all the time. And as the YouTube channel owner, Bicycle Dutch Rides will attest to, the Dutch kind of make fun of the people with the helmets. Generally in the Netherlands, when you see somebody with a helmet, it's a German tourist. Or an American, the occasional American riding a bike. And the reason why the Dutch don't wear helmets is because the bike pathways and the culture there is so bike friendly. You know, people that drive cars, they understand the bike. They ride a bike themselves, so they respect the bike. And people treat each other with respect and treat each other nicely, share the road with cyclists in the car. And in a lot of places, the bike takes priority quite a bit. It's just hard to describe until you've actually ridden there or been there to understand that. It's a wonderful experience. Now, a little bit about me. I used to work in a bike shop when I was young. Sorry, I didn't say hello to the elderly man. I used to work in a bike shop for many years. I used to race. I used to road race. I come from the Silicon Valley in California, and I actually used to know the two guys that own Specialized bikes. And I lived in Santa Cruz, where Santa Cruz mountain bikes come from. And growing up, I used to belong to a cycling race team club, San Jose Bike Club, and used to ride all the races. And that's how I met the guys from Specialized, and also got to know them through the bike shop that I worked at. So I had a background in cycling. I left that behind in my mid-20s, forgot all about that until the day I went to the Netherlands, and I was rekindled with riding a bike again. And it was kind of funny. I was a very car-centric person. You know, living in California, you cannot live without a car. And going to Europe, I fought it. I didn't want to ride a bike. I wanted to drive everywhere like a typical American. And within about 3 or 4 months, I got it. I figured it out and realized how much faster, efficient, enjoyable, healthy, fun it was to ride a bike, to go do your errands, to go to the grocery store or go to an event, to go to the movies, to go out to eat, to meet friends. So much better on a bike. Even in bad weather. You know, I rode in the snow. It didn't happen too often, but I rode in the snow and in the rain. The Dutch have a saying, they say, we're not made of sugar. In other words, they can handle the rough weather and they don't complain. Let me show you a beautiful spot. We share this with you. I think you can see why I don't believe this is actually a creek. It's more of a river to me, or a small river. It's mooi, huh? Beautiful creek, beautiful scenery. And right through here is where we usually see a lot of deer in the evening time. I think they hide back in the brush in here and in the forest over there, straight ahead. I've had several big bucks with 8 points, 6, 8, 10 points come walking across the middle of the road right in front of me. All right, so far we've done 7.1 miles. I'm not quite sure what that is in kilometers. It'd have to take me a minute to figure that out. Small pentalon of riders training, and here we have a beautiful bridge. We're going to be coming up to a power station, and then after the power station we're going to, on the right hand side, we're going to see a very old water treatment plant, to put it nicely, or a sewage plant. It's a Grote Honda. That was a big dog. And here's a nice view in this spot. We'll share that with you guys. And when we have heavy storms or heavy rains, this water is all the way up to this wall right here. All that would be underwater, and the water goes up probably halfway up that bank. So to me, that's a river, not so much a creek. I mentioned earlier, I forget, but it's called Sugar Creek. There's a school bus. And a highway above. We're going to be going underneath that underpass. Let's continue on. They repaired the railing. Over here is where the water actually came up above the railing. This was all broken and torn down from the storms. They refixed it. You can see a lot of the debris still here. And right up there to my right is the beginning of this water treatment plant. Those are the percolation ponds, or where they store the water. You can see the smokestack straight ahead. And unfortunately, we get a little bit of an odor. Stinka, my friend. And up here we can see the facility. Apparently this has been here since like the 1940s. Or I think, or even the 20s, I forget. It does say so in the front of the building. Some of you may not want to see this, I guess. To me, it's just history. It's a very old building, yeah. Charlotte sewage disposal plant. And I recall somewhere, I thought I had seen this, the age of it. But it looks like it was probably built in the 20s or 30s. I mean, it's been modernized. All the other buildings are new, but this building in particular right here is the original old building. All right, let's continue on. And right up here is a bunch of antique cars. Apparently this land was donated by somebody right here in this area, and one of the conditions was is they didn't remove the these autos or cars that were rusted in here. These very, very old cars in the 1950s. Looks like a Mercury or a Buick and an old pickup truck from the 40s or 50s. Looks like a Chevy pickup truck. All right, let's continue on. The bike I'm riding would be completely illegal over there in Europe. This bike, you have a, if you can see that, is the throttle. I'm not pedaling at all right now. Or it has different levels of power assist. Yeah, power assist level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I usually keep it in 1. But this one actually, the bike will go up to 28 miles an hour. It's probably about, probably about 48 kilometers per hour, which would be highly illegal over there in Europe. It will do 60 miles, which I think is roughly probably about 100 kilometers on a battery charge. Very nice bike. It's got an aluminum frame. It's got big Dutch tires. Very much like a Dutch bike, except for one small thing, which would be the handlebars. I'm not sure if you can notice that, but the handlebars aren't as swept back as a Dutch bike might be. But other than that, it's pretty close to a Dutch bike. Upright riding position. This part right here frequently is underwater, almost to a point that it's not a really good thing. You can see all the dusty road and mud. The mud is turned into dust now, and it gives a coating everywhere. I think they built the pathway too low to the river. I think they are using it as a relief, a flood for the floods when it rains really hard. But just even a good regular storm of rain, 2 days of rain, and this thing floods. Now, something like this, the Dutch will complain about. It's more than a 11% grade. I think it was 11 or maybe 8 or 9% grade, and the Dutch people don't like the hill to be so aggressive or steep. Which is kind of true for so many people ride the bike over there. Even people in their 90s are riding the bike. So their complaint is that the older people or young kids have a difficult time climbing that steep of a angle going uphill. And being a country that is so flat, I can attest to this. You get very used to very flat ground. Everything being flat all the time, perfect for cycling. So even when I would occasionally have to go over an overpass, which there was one near my house, I would go to Praxis, and I would go to the Action store, and I would have to cross over the canal over an overpass, and I hated climbing that overpass. Especially when you only had 3 gears. Most Dutch bikes only have 3 speeds. The newer ones had seven speeds, which is nicer. So as you can see, we're going downhill down to the water line, and you can just see where the mud and water was flowing over this. This is another one of my favorite bridges. Has a beautiful view down below. Straight ahead on the right are some very, very old homes or apartments. These are probably built in the 40s. Look like worker housing, probably for textile mill workers or something of that nature. Little bungalows, but they're quite old. That's something different you don't see. There's a bicycle parked outside someone's house. In America, you don't see bicycles outside the front door of someone's home. In the Netherlands, that was very common. You would just go down the road and you would see tons of bicycles everywhere, just parked everywhere. See, everybody wears helmets. And here's some more of these bungalows or very old homes. By American standards. The 1940s is not that long ago. That was one of the nice things over there. You would see a farm, or someone that converted a farm into a beautiful home, and the house was built in the 1700s. It was very easy to see a church that was built in the 1300s. And here we are going underneath another underpass. This is more what the Dutch have, is a tunnel. Oh, it's cold in there. That's strange. Someone left a rental scooter. That was a common thing you would see over there. You would see bicycles that were thrown on the side of the road, side of the bike path, electric scooters, the rental scooters. You'd see them almost everywhere. That's the first time I've ever seen a rental scooter laying on the side of the bike path. And that is the end of the new part of the bike pathway. That's where it connects to this park or small neighborhood, and connects again to another pathway into Freedom Park. So we're about 80% of the way to this park that I'm taking you to. Right now we're in a nice neighborhood, a lot of nice big homes, some old homes, new homes, a very big mixture of small, big, new and old houses. You can see some of the bigger houses. I always find this house interesting right here on the corner because if you look at it, it has a very, very big window in the front in the living room. It's a new home, or it's been rebuilt. There's probably an old house on there at one time and they just rebuilt it. But the reason I find it interesting is because when I first moved to the Netherlands, it was very strange to me that everybody had curtains, but they never closed their curtains. The curtains were wide open when you were walking in the daytime or in the evening, early evening when people were eating dinner just after sunset. You could easily walk past people's houses, see what they were doing, making dinner, watching TV, doing their homework, playing in the living room. You could see what they were doing all day, sweeping, cleaning their house. It was like looking into a storefront window. And I had to get used to that because where I lived, we let the curtains open as well. And people walked along the sidewalk literally 2 feet from your window. So as they walked by, they could just glance in and just see you living your life. And that was something that I had to really get used to. But the reason behind that was the Dutch believe that you should have your curtains open because if you have nothing to hide, you leave your curtains open. No one's going to pay you any mind and you have nothing to hide. If you close your curtains, you must be up to something or up to no good. Apparently that's what it's like. But that was the reasoning. So when I see this household, it's really nice. It reminds me of that. And here is the opposite, because if you probably couldn't tell, but there was a woman in the window and she's probably wondering why I'm pointing the camera towards her house. I'm hoping that my battery will last all the way to the park. I have a spare battery with me, but hopefully I won't have to stop and change it and interrupt the video. And this is what I'm talking about. If the road or the bike path is not connected completely yet on the greenway, you still have to go through city streets or neighborhoods. And this is what Americans, what we think as a separated bike lane. Just plastic poles or rubber poles that are easily knocked down. And the green path means a bicycle path. Here's another small size American house. There's a small house right in the middle and one large house. That's one house. And over here straight ahead they are building another small house. 4 cars can fit in the garage. That's one house. I really appreciated what the Dutch culture did with much less. Having a smaller home, smaller houses, smaller cars. They appreciated the smaller things. Over here in America, we like to show off and have the biggest car, a big SUV, a big house that's like a museum, 2 people living in a big house like this, and no children, and having to work all the time, working 50, 60 hours a week just to pay for it, and not really enjoying life just to have a big house. I never understood that. I don't think many people know the regular work week for Dutch people is like 28, 30 hours a week. You know, it's very common for people to work 24, 25 hours a week. You know, over here I work 40, 50 hours, sometimes 55 hours a week. Depending on what time of year it is. And here we are. If you notice, here we have bike symbols on the street. It's just a regular street, but somehow putting that on there is supposed to make this a bike lane. I enjoy some of the homes here, like this one. Some of them have a lot of character. Very nice. All right, we're almost to the park. As soon as we cross this stop sign in the street, we're going to be running along the park, and we're going to cross over a tiny bridge into the park. So we cross this busy street without getting hit by a car. Yep, we're lucky. To the left, over the river here, is the far end of the park, roughly where the fountain is. We're going to see a fountain, but first, the entrance to the park is at the far end. Okay, we're gonna go left, or links off. And the Schoenenbrug. That was a footbridge, and like I said, there's a fountain to the left of me. You can see it right there between the trees and the lamppost. We're gonna make a right turn here and go all the way around the park. The name of the park is Freedom Park. Very nice bridge. There's another fountain. Of course, this is a man-made pond. They have concerts here. Lots of festivals and different things. And up here on the left is a auditorium where they have the bandstand, and up here is something even special we're starting to see or starting to get in places like Charlotte, which is rental bikes, electric pedal bikes that you can rent per day or hour. This is a very common thing in the Netherlands to see. I didn't care for the rental electrics Vespa type Italian scooters. That I didn't like. The kids would leave them all over the streets in front of your door, front door of your house, or they would just drop them anywhere. And the other issue is they ride them on the bicycle paths or the feet path, and you can't hear them. They're so silent, and they go flying down the bike path past you, and they don't toot their horn to let you know they're coming. And if you get hit by one of those, it's pretty dangerous. It's a beautiful park. The little girl was getting away from her mother. Nie is a watermolen, but het is mooi, huh? It's not a water mill like in the Netherlands, but it's still a nice water fountain. It's still really nice to look at. Very well kept park. This was a tree that you would see in the Netherlands as well. The weeping willow trees, especially along the water banks or the canal banks. Well, that ends our ride. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope Dutch Bicycle Rides enjoyed the video. A different way of shooting or doing the video than how he does it. The guy's a very brilliant guy. I highly suggest, I'm going to put links in the video for you to see his channel. He does some really nice videos, incredibly sharp, high quality videos, very stable, and he's found a way. He's a coder, I believe, an engineer or a coder or something, and he's actually been able to figure out a way with a closed caption to put, instead of text for the closed caption or speaking a language, but to put something in there to follow on Google Maps. You can actually find the coordinates of where he is located as he travels throughout the video. Brilliant stuff. So I don't know how he does it, but I would highly recommend you check out his channel. He's a very interesting guy, and he speaks pretty good English too, better than my Dutch. So, all right, so I bid you farewell, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. To my friend in the Netherlands, Brabant houdoe, fijne dag, groetjes.